I'm Ed Perlmutter. I'm the congressman for the 7th Congressional District, which is Jefferson County and Adams County. And today we have two gentlemen, two teachers, administrators up in Adams County as part of our Local Heroes program because they have taken their talents and some equipment to help build and design masks for so many people in Adams County and our area. This has been something that has been needed as the COVID-19 virus has kind of ravaged the healthcare system, at least at the beginning. Now we're starting to catch up with protective gear and things like that because of the efforts of people like Todd and Nick Schuster. Todd is coordinator of the STEM program at North Glen High School. Nick is a middle school teacher at Rocky Top. And I'd like to turn it over to Todd for a second to tell us what he and Nick have been doing to help our community. So Todd?
Yeah, so thanks for having us. This is really cool. I've never actually talked on Zoom to a U.S. representative. This is pretty fun. I was approached about when the whole stuff started by our principal as to could we 3D print these masks? They had found a file from a dentist who had created it in Montana. And so the next day I showed up to school and we had this mask, and then just through the network of Adams 12 and another colleague that I work with closely with, Leslie Foster, had contacted Nick and other people, and then it just kind of blew up and we started making a ton of different masks, and it's just kind of spiraled from there and just taken off. It's been really, really fun to be part of.
So Nick, tell me a little bit about the technology, what you guys have been using and how you're doing this.
So again, thanks for having us on today. We really appreciate it. I got to give most of the credit to Todd here because he's the one who really started the whole movement, and I kind of jumped in afterwards. So behind me here, you can kind of see that I have a 3D printer here. This one is just a Lulzbot printer. I don't know exactly what Todd has over at STEM. I know we're all just using different types of 3D printers, but the basic technology is that you use filament, a plastic filament that extrudes out of a hot extruder to create kind of a liquid plastic that just laid down layer by layer. And so I've got an example of a mask here that it gets laid down layer by layer so you can kind of see the striations. And so each of these masks takes a really long time to print. This one right here, just one by itself, would take about 4 hours to print. We're using PLA plastic, so it's polylactic acid, so it is biodegradable and safe for use in terms of having something so close to your face as well.
So how many of you are engaging in this? I mean, is it just the two of you, or do you got some other colleagues helping you?
At North Glen High School, we had for a while we had a 24-hour kind of shift going where we had myself, Carrie Glenn, our principal Sherry Blunt, and another coordinator from STEM Lab, Tracy Calderon, all kind of throughout the day and in the middle of the night going to change out the printers. Then, like with Nick, and I even have some students at North Glen High School have been printing masks on their home printers and then donating them to the school. So we've been able to, the last count we had, which I don't know how many Nick's made recently, we were at 1894, so almost 2,000. Wow.
So is this, I mean, the 3D printing, is that part of what you guys would be working with some of your students as if we were back in school, the ordinary curriculum? I mean, do they have access to this kind of technology to start building and designing things?
Yeah, so at Rocky Top, we've got just a few 3D printers. They've got a lot more over at North Glen for sure, and they do a lot more with it. I actually I looped in a student as well. So there was a student that was living in our neighborhood that I was able to take one of our 3D printers over to his house. And so he was cranking some 3D prints out too. Unfortunately, that 3D printer actually went down a couple weeks ago. So kind of like the extent of how amazing our community is, I had a friend who's an electrical engineer who offered to fix the 3D printer for me. I actually just got it back up and running today, which is really awesome. So
That's great.
yeah. So we do like a little, just, we're a middle school level, so we don't do it as in-depth of probably 3D design as Todd and them do.
Yeah, students at high school, their freshman year, even before their freshman year, they're trained to use the 3D printers, and they use them quite frequently. So kids are printing their projects for classes, or they're even printing fun things on their own for their own stuff. We've even had students who was the Young Entrepreneur of the Year for the city of Northglenn a couple of years ago, who had a 3D printing business. He had like a bunk bed set up in his bedroom, and his printers were below his bunk bed, so it was really cool. But he made a living of it. It was pretty neat.
So who are some of the people that have received your masks? Who have you guys helped by manufacturing these and then distributing them? Who's getting them?
Most of the masks we've had is through a couple of different police departments around the area. I've also sent almost 1,000 to a teacher in Grand County. Had asked because in that rural part of the state, they just didn't have very much PPE, so they asked for a bunch, and I've given them about 1,000. We've sent 500 or so to Florida, and then also just through some random contacts, some nurses around the country as well.
Nice.
That's awesome. That's great. Yeah, my wife actually reached out to North Metro Fire up here and asked if they needed any masks, and they said that they were pretty good on PPE, so they put us in contact with the Thornton Police Department.
That's great.
So my wife contacted them, and they asked for about 150 masks. So we cranked out 150 masks here. Actually, we took a donation from STEM as well. They gave us a bunch too, and so we were able to do that. We actually we print them raw here, like these here, but then we also do the finishing process on them as well, which takes a long time. So we add like the gasket around the edge, and then we add the elastic pieces, and then there's kind of a silicone bead that goes around the edge as well. And so we try to get them like kind of as ready to go as possible for the Thornton Police Department. And then we have sent a few off to nurses around the country. Some friends of ours, and some friends and family, and then we've also sent. We're trying to figure out kind of our next step, and we're thinking that we might try and contact some nursing homes and some retirement facilities to help with some of the PPE shortages there.
Well, so I mean, as a nation, we really we're behind the 8 ball on protective gear, the kinds of things that you all are making. And luckily in Colorado, people really did social distance and stay at home and make an effort to flatten the curve. And that's one of the successes in what is a very difficult moment in America, been able to flatten the curve. And then a lot of very industrious people like you two, not a lot, but industrious individuals like you two and the folks you've been working with and the students you have helped relieve some of that protective gear pressure that we were facing as the cases were mounting, and our healthcare workers and our first responders had to deal with people with the virus and were really subject to catching it themselves. This kind of stuff was really just so key. And I feel I didn't have anything to do with you two, but I feel proud that you two and your students and your colleagues were really stepped into the breach here to do this kind of stuff. One, it just shows how much you have a community spirit and want to help your neighbors, but also the technology that the two of you bring as teachers, and technologists is really helpful. So I feel great just listening to these stories. So did any one of the nurses or the police, did you hear from anybody specifically that you provided a mask to?
I have not. I have not personally. I know that there is
Oh, Todd, I think you're frozen.
Oh, I'll kind of take over for him for now.
Okay.
So we actually have heard from a few of our nurse friends that really, really like the masks that we're sending them. Like as Todd was saying before, the masks themselves were a design created by 3 doctors out in Montana. So they're called Montana masks. And so we took the design and kind of ran with it from there. They have a whole website called makethemasks.com, and they have all of the information on as to how you can set the masks up. And so we have a friend of ours here in Colorado is a neurology doctor, and so we gave her one, and she said she really, really likes it. She says it's very effective, which is really, really nice to hear for sure. And ironically, she actually is learned from one of the doctors who actually created the mask in the first place.
Nice.
So just kind of ironically, he's up in Montana now, but when she was doing her her school down at the Mayo Clinic, she had learned underneath him. So kind of a small world for sure.
Well, I'm not sure what happened to Todd.
Yeah.
It looks like his internet may have gone out, but really just enjoyed visiting with you guys and sharing with us what you've been doing, because it's this kind of effort and commitment to our community that really makes you local heroes. So Todd, you were gone briefly, and Nick, I want you to know, covered for you very well.
Good, thank you, Nick.
And he talked about some of the nurses who have spoken up to him, and a neurologist who has benefited by these masks that you guys have been making. And I'm going to let you two close, but I just want to thank you for looking out for our community, especially our first responders and our medical individuals and staff, because they were really put in harm's way in a way that they didn't really deserve. I mean, it's tough enough for what they're doing to not have the protective gear, but to have you two step up and start manufacturing these things, and for the school district to support you kind of in that effort really is great. So Nick, I'm going to let Todd have the last word. I'll let you say whatever you like, and then we'll close with Todd.
Yeah, so thank you for having us here for sure. We really appreciate it, and thank you to Todd for sure for allowing us to kind of step in and help out too. It's given us a purpose, and it's given us something to really connect with the community on, and it's really amazing to see the community come together in such a helpful and just loving and caring way, and it's been a real privilege to be part of that.
Wonderful. Todd.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't need to be the one person that thinks that everybody this, but like there are so many people that have helped out with this part that, I feel like just a little part of that is pretty special.
Thank you for having us, and just thank you for kind of recognizing what people do in the community. I don't think Nick and I would consider ourselves heroes in this. We are just trying to help and be part of the community that we serve, and that helps us and brings us great students. So, I just hope that we're making masks that people are able to use and help the community.
Well, I just want to thank you, gentlemen, one, for being teachers. This is a Teacher Appreciation Month. And thank you for being teachers, and thank you for then going above and beyond the call of duty to manufacture masks at a time when our whole public health system needed it. So, gentlemen, stay healthy. Thank you very much.
You as well.
Yeah, you
and
too.
Thanks for being local heroes.